All right. Hello. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo.
My name is Anthony Ihrig.
And joining us today, a couple of the members of the Wailin Jennys. Why don't I have you introduce yourselves and where you're joining us from today?
I'm Nikki Meda, and I am coming to you from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
All right.
And I'm Heather Massey, and I am in Santa Barbara, California.
All right.
Awesome.
And
Great to have you here.
so great to have you gals joining us today. And we're so excited for the show. And we're so excited it's Friday because this is what
Yes.
we do every Friday. We have a drink, kick back, reconnect with our friends, talk about old music, listen to it together. And a lot of folks excited for the show today. And
And you'll see these comments coming up on the screen. You know, half the fun of this is hanging out with you guys. So definitely jump in the comments, ask your questions, let us know what you're having to drink this afternoon and how you're doing today on this Friday afternoon.
yeah, and here in Minneapolis, which is where we are from, Anthony and I, it is warm. It is
Beautiful.
in the 40s and sunny and just lovely. So, what are you drinking today, Anthony, on this spring-like day?
I'm going back to another that local brewery, Uda Pills, which one of our Patreon members is a member of. It's a wonderful brewery that specializes in European style brews. So they go over there and get the best recipes and concoct them here. And this is this really delicious dark wheat beer called Ewald the Dark.
Nice, nice, nice.
Nice
And
dark.
Nikki, are you imbibing anything on this Friday afternoon?
I hadn't planned on it. I totally forgot, but I actually have a beer in the fridge. But
Well,
I'll go
Yeah.
get it. When,
See how we might drive you to it. Who knows what will happen as we revisit these old songs. And Heather, you look like you've been out being active in the beautiful California sun.
Yes, I have been. I wish that I had some water because I'm really thirsty, but I just had to scoot out before my 2-year-old saw me. So
I know how that goes.
Yes.
nothing.
Yes, you definitely know. Well, I am drinking a cold pressed black, a bent paddle from Duluth, and kind of taking a page out of Tony's usual workbook, which is can't decide between the coffee and the booze, and you just go with both. It's that kind of day.
I like to
And-
have multiple drinks myself.
Well, it
yeah,
looks
well, and I
like-
also have the water too. Yeah.
We know. It looks like we have back from Texas with our G&Ts.
Excellent.
So right, and we have a dark wheat and Czech lager, another Uda Pills from our friend Chris. Wonderful, and we have
Nice.
people tuning in from all over, and we want to welcome you all to the show. This is all about hanging out and listening to music, and we're so excited about today's episode.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know, again, what we do is revisit old records with artists and their own records, that is. And so they get to pick an album and pick the tracks they want to talk about, and that's what we do. We listen to the tunes together, and you can ask questions, and it's a lot of fun. And today we are revisiting a record that I love, and it came out in 2011, Bright Morning Stars. In fact, I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, nice!
I see.
Yeah, you can't see that. It says I'm wearing the Bright Morning Stars T-shirt
Nice.
because I'm a
Aw.
fangirl. Anyway, so I'm really excited to talk about this record, and I actually got a few messages today from people who have said that's my favorite Jennys record. So people are excited about this one. So we have a bunch of songs to get to today, so we want to sort of dive right in as much as possible. But maybe really quickly, you can just maybe give a little brief bio of the Jennys and how they came to be and what led to this record.
Okay, well, we have been around, I guess it's going to be 19 years this year. Oh my gosh, yeah, we're old. We're getting old. So the band started with Ruth and I and our other founding member in Winnipeg, and we were just going to do a show together because we were all had other stuff going on. And so anyway, the shows took off. We started getting a lot of offers to work and to play different festivals and stuff. And then it just kept happening and happening. And we went with it, and Heather joined us. What is it, 12 years ago, Heather? Or is it longer than that?
Yeah, let's see. We need
13
Ruth for the
years?
dates. I think even longer.
Oh, I know.
'Cause, maybe 14? I don't know.
2007. Yeah, 13, 14 years around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've just been touring like crazy. And then we sorry, I'm actually getting my husband to bring me the beer.
Well, that you can always interrupt the show for that. That is totally fine. That's what this show's all about.
It's listening party.
It's-
You gotta
Exactly.
you gotta have both.
He said it's at the door. Oh,
I love it.
I love it.
okay. It's called Cosmos. It's actually a local. Winnipeg has tons of really good microbreweries. It's Sucrim's brewery, and it's called Cosmos, and sour beers are my absolute favorite.
Nice.
So it's a sour beer.
Nice.
This is fun. I don't normally drink in the afternoon,
Right, well,
except for every day. So anyway, where was I? I don't know. Oh, so then we were very eager once Heather came on board to record a studio album with her, because we did a live album, actually, the first thing we did with Heather. And then we did Bright Morning Stars, and it was a bit tricky because I was pregnant with my boys, with my twin boys, when we were working up the material, and then the plan was for us to record it when they were 4 months old, which we did, which was kind of crazy, but it worked. It happened. So the rest is history. So it's a little bit, it's getting up there in age. We got to get back in the studio and record another original album.
Yeah. Well,
Ruth?
it looks like we have a third member of the Wailin Jennys joining us. We'll see. Can you hear us, Ruth?
No.
I can. Yeah, this is much better.
Oh, you can.
I'm really roughing it here.
Okay, so Nikki and Heather have already introduced themselves, but maybe you want to introduce yourself, Ruth, and maybe give an idea of where you're tuning in from, which might be explaining why you're having a little trouble getting a good signal where you are.
Hi, I'm Ruth Moody, and right now I'm in the Gulf Islands, and I don't have internet, so I have to drive around and look for it like the old days. We used to do when we were making not Bright Morning Stars, but our album before Bright Morning Stars, when we were in Australia, that's how we mixed that record, is we just drove around looking for random internet. But
Wonderful.
Anyway, so yeah, we're sorry, there's such a lag. But I think anyway. So yeah, we're living in a rustic cabin, and it's really beautiful, but there are all sorts of challenges trying to sort of be part of the modern world. So here I am at the agricultural hall borrowing their internet after the place I usually go to for internet didn't work very well. So hopefully this
welcome.
works.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you, and for sure, next time I have something to say too. Just make sure we give you a lot of time so you can say your piece, so you can contribute. And right now we're going to dive into the songs. We already got a little background on the Jennys for folks who maybe are less familiar, and what led to this record. So now we just want to dive into the music and talk about the tracks. So the first song we've queued up is Bird Song. Is there anything you want to say about this tune before we listen to it?
Well, I guess the only thing that is kind of unusual about this song is that it is a bit of a co-write. We don't have any other songs that are co-written. And I wrote this one, but I was having trouble finishing the lyrics, and so I sent it to Nikki and Ruth, and Nikki contributed a couple of 2 or 3 lines in a couple of the verses. So it's our only co-write.
Awesome.
What?
All right, well,
One-
let's take a listen to it. This is Bird Song by the Wailin Jennys on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I hear a bird chirping up in the sky. I'd like to be free like that, spread my wings so high. I see the river flowing, water running by. I'd like to be that river, see what I might find. I feel the wind I blowing, slowly changing time. I'd like to be that wind that swirling, shape the sky. I smell the flowers moving, open for spring. I'd like to be those flowers open to everything. I feel the seasons change, the leaves, the snow and the sun. I'd like to be those seasons made up and undone. I taste the living with the seeds that grow within. I'd like to be that earth, the home where life begins. I see the moon arising, reaching into night. I'd like to be that moon, a knowing, glowing light. I know the silence says the world begins to wake. I'd like to be that silence as the morning breaks. I hear birds chirping up in the sky. I'd like to feel like that, spread my wings. I see the river flowing, water running. I'd like to be that river, see what I might find. I feel the wind blowing, slowly changing tide. I'd like to be that wind that swirling, shape the sky. I smell the flowers blooming, opening for spring. I'd like to be those flowers open to everything. I'd like to be those flowers open to everything.
All right, the Wailin Jennys with Bird Song from their album Beautiful Bright Morning Stars that came out in 2011. The Jennys joining us live today on the Back Catalog Listening Party to talk about the songs and answer any of your questions. So if you have thoughts or comments about the songs or want to know something about the writing or recording of these songs, that's what this show is all about.
Lots of people out there listening and enjoying it, tuned in South Carolina. Beautiful, says Pat.
All over.
Yeah, Napa, California. We got North Carolina. All kinds of people really enjoying this right now, and we appreciate you all being here.
Yeah. And so Birdsong, I think one of the things that always stands out to me on that version of that song is just sort of the layers of the vocals, especially at the end of that. Did you know how you were going to record this song when you went into the studio to record it, or did you work on the arrangements when you were in the sessions?
Well, this song, the vocals were all arranged, and the banjo, I believe, is that right? Yeah, and but we didn't know we were playing with a band that the producer kind of put together. So that was all unknown and mysterious. So
And actually, I remember with this song, I believe it was this song where I remember Christian Dugas playing the drums on this song, and he was sitting with a big, if it was this song, with a big bass drum, hitting it with a mallet. And it made me think that he actually came in and replaced the first drummer because his house burned down the second day of the recording.
Oh my gosh.
So he had to go back to deal with his house, which was really sad. But it, sort of a bizarre thing. But and then Christian, who'd played on Firecracker, and yeah, so we worked with him before, so he came and played on that one. But so I remember him doing that, and I remember arranging this song outside of an airport.
Yeah.
Remember that? Which airport was that?
Oh, I can almost. Was it Manhattan, Kansas, or what's the airport we fly into when we play in Manhattan? Maybe
it was in Missouri.
Missouri, yeah.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, maybe. I feel
so
like it might have been
confused.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I
didn't
remember
know it was there.
I think it might have been. I could be wrong, but I remember being across the road in a little slope of grass, and I was like, I really think that we can do a round. I really think that this song needs a round. And so but it was really hard to figure it out. And we sat there and worked on it for an hour or something.
So you guys are doing that a lot together, doing the arrangements as a group rather than bringing it, one person bringing it to the band?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we usually each write our own songs and then arrange the songs together.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And this album, you guys all came together to for a stretch of time to record it. Like you were living at the place together, right, to record this, so that you were really like in it, right?
Yeah, we were at. Was it Mark's cottage? I was trying to remember that.
Yeah, it was Mark's cottage.
It was Mark's sister's cottage.
Oh,
in
Halliburton, Ontario, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And then, because I was mentioning before that
Halliburton.
The boys were 4 months old. My twin boys were 4 months old, and we were staying at a cabin across the lake. And I don't even know whose place that was, but there they are.
Oh my God.
That's Beck.
So cute.
That's Beck on the left in the blue, and then Finn on the right in the green. And so that was them at the actual cottage. And we toured with them for 2 years. So Ruth and Heather knew these guys well back then. But they are they're 11 and a half now. It's just crazy. And that's the group. So Mark is over, I don't know rights and lefts on here. He's the guy with the hat in the front row. Yeah, him. And then Ruth, and then Samantha, I think her name was. She was the one that was taking pictures and taking videos. There's me. And then up on the top, Ruth reminded us his name was Paul Matthews, because Heather and I have no memory for things like that. And then Heather, and then Christian Dugas, a drummer. Colin Cripps is next to him, the guitar player. And Bill Dillon, is that right?
That sounds
Heather, or
maybe.
Ruth? Oh, what happened to Ruth? Oh, Ruth is like the one with the memory here. So
I know.
Seems like we lost her. Yeah, unfortunately.
She'll be back. She'll be back.
For those who are just listening, we're showing an image right now of the band and some of the people playing on the album, and we will have these images, most of them anyways, on our website where you can check it out if you're just listening.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, I was just going to say that it was a really, really awesome group of musicians, and that's not all of them. We had Kevin Bright was playing guitar. Later on, came to dub some stuff over, and a few other people, and then once. So that was with Mark Howard at the cottage, and then David Travers Smith, our longtime producer, came in and then did a whole bunch of stuff after, like adding on more stuff and mixing and all that stuff. So yeah, that was the cottage crew. Those people.
Very cool.
Nice. Yeah. And just to be clear, Mark that you're referring to is Mark Howard, the producer, right?
Mark Howard, yeah.
And
That's right,
who has worked with a whole bunch of really impressive list of folks, like what, Dylan, Lucinda Williams. I don't know.
He's worked with a
Emmylou
ton of
Harris.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you have a relationship with him before you made the record, or was it one of those things where you're like, we want to work with him, and then we're just going to be thrown into living with him and recording for a few weeks?
Yeah, we didn't know him. I mean, do you remember, Heather? Like we always, when we go into things, or we think of we just listen to a whole bunch of stuff, and I think I can't remember exactly how that happened. He's Canadian, actually.
Yeah.
And he was Daniel Lanois' right-hand man, kind of like his main engineer. And so we had heard of him probably through Daniel Lanois, and then we're impressed with the stuff that he did on his own. And so he was game, and he thought, okay, well, this is great. It's great to hole yourself up in a place that's away from the world in a lot of ways, which was nice. And yeah.
Yeah.
how that
Production
came
is
about.
gorgeous. It really
Beautiful.
sounds good. Were you guys in kind of one big space, or did you have like little, like somebody was in the closet and somebody was in the bathroom, or how was the setup there?
Yeah, we were
was a big
all
space.
in one big space. Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
interesting. Some of the tools that he uses as a producer is that he wants the vibe to be just right, and so it's all about getting everyone comfortable and playing together in a space. So there were candles, and we actually were singing through amps, and everyone was,
wow.
so there was a live sound happening in the room, which was really so different than, if you're in a studio recording in a sound booth, all alone. You were in the room with the musicians and hearing the sounds, which was really interesting and I think challenging in some ways for us to deal with as three-part harmony, because things bled, and so that was kind of tricky if we wanted to redo stuff. But a lot of the tracks we did live like that, and it was a really interesting, vibey, fun way to record, I thought.
There's something magical, I think, when those sound waves kind of intermingle, right? They're not just
Yeah.
these separate little waveforms that are being squished later. It's like something about the air.
Yeah, I very much agree. And we want to we get a whole bunch of songs to get to today. We want to make sure we give folks more of a taste. And the next song we've queued up is All the Stars. Is there anything you want to say about this before we dive in?
Good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought that was Ruth, but it was the album.
Well, since Ruth isn't here, this is probably one of my favorite songs of hers, actually. And when I heard this one, I was like, oh, that for sure needs to be. I mean, Heather felt the same way, I'm sure, but this one needs to be on the album. It's just a beautiful song. And I mean, we should listen to it, and then I'll mention the one thing I do remember about the recording of this song.
All right.
Okay.
Let's give it a listen. This is
Same
All
thing.
the Stars, the Wailin Jennys on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
All the stars in the sky burn the black, close your eyes. All the stars in the sky say goodbye, say goodbye. We were here yesterday, now we seem so far away. We were here yesterday, I heard you say you don't know me. You know one side of a story. Oh, you don't know me. So open wide your wounded heart.
love it.
No,
I love how we're
so
all waiting for that last
pretty.
wah wah. Um, that was the Wailin Jennys with All the Stars from their album Bright Morning Stars here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Heather and Nikki joining us from the Jennys
So
to
good.
talk about some of the songs. And that song was written by Ruth Moody, who again is trying to connect. She's in a place with spotty internet, so she might pop back in. But given that she's not here at the moment, Nikki, you had said you had something you wanted to say about the song.
Yeah, I think it's probably the same thing that Heather remembers about Colin and the guitar solo.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. So going into this, I mean, especially since we didn't do any pre-production, did we on this? Maybe like a day before
Wow.
we were like, it was like we kind of jumped into things. So we knew who Colin was, obviously, but here I'm holding my little fidget ball.
Just like my homeschoolers, right?
Yeah.
So and a lot of this stuff, as Heather was saying, was sort of like live off the floor, and I remember this being a pretty, I think this was like, I feel like this was his first pass at it. Do you remember that, Heather? Was that his first pass?
It might have been the solo. Yeah. I don't remember, but it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, and I think that I don't know that Ruth even had a really clear impression of what she wanted as a solo in that part. But he put that down, and I remember thinking, what I loved what it was, but it was very much not necessarily what I was thinking was going to be there, and maybe she didn't either. But he was very emotional after it, because he said a friend of his had just passed away, and he felt like he really connected with that as he was playing it. So there was this really sort of heartfelt, sincere, emotional connection that he had with that part. And it was sort of like, well, that, it was a beautiful part, and I don't know, it just felt like energetically like it should be part of it. So yeah, it was a really beautiful moment. I mean, I'm getting chills the whole time. It's really interesting because we've never played that song live, have we?
Wow.
We've never played it. No.
No, we've never played it live.
Wow.
So I haven't heard that for like 10 years.
I know.
It's so
so
crazy.
Nice to hear it.
Well, yeah. Are there any other songs in your catalog that you're like have never really performed live? I mean, like, from like from this configuration of the band, are there any other songs that
What Has Been Done? I don't know if we'll have time to get to What Has Been Done,
right?
but we have never done that one. There are a few, like there are a couple on each album that haven't been done for various reasons, whatever it is. Over time. I mean, it would be fun. We've talked about maybe like pulling up a few that we've never arranged and doing that live, but just like another thing in listening to that, as I was mentioning before, it was sort of almost like Mark was at the front end of the album, and David was sort of at the back end of the album. And so when I listen to that, I hear sort of that, like he had a sort of, Mark had a kind of that sort of live kind of rough or thing going on with the beginning of it, which was really valuable. And then David comes in and just like and sort of the way he brings people in to do overdubs and stuff is just so beautiful. And like just all these little sounds you can hear, and they're so beautiful and moving. And that's his forte, it's just it's gorgeous. They both brought so much to it. So
Yeah, there's so much detail in all of these tracks. It's really, really beautiful and bears, good listening. So, and if you folks out there listening, maybe you're listening on your phone, or, you're doing something else while you're listening to the show, make sure we're listening on higher fidelity situation. And I can say that's the way you want to hear it. So you should definitely get a copy of this record. It's still available on CD through the Wailin Jennys website, also on all the digital platforms as well. So you'll want to check it out at your leisure. But Ruth Moody is back, and we just played All the Stars, Ruth. And is there anything you want to say briefly about it before we dive into the next song?
About the next song, did you say?
Oh, is there anything you wanted to say about All the Stars before we dive into the next song?
Oh, about All the Stars. Yeah, sorry, I missed a bunch of that. This was a really cool one because we started it. I remember Mark wanted it to be an evening song, and for obvious reasons, I guess. But he was really good about creating ambiance and lighting candles and getting everybody in the mood. And so he did that and really made sure that we were all kind of connected in that mood. And then I think we did maybe 2 runs of it, 2 takes. And Nikki reminded me of this recently when we were talking. Colin Cripps, who was playing electric guitar on this song, he recently lost a friend. And so he got really emotional during the song. He played this beautiful solo. And I think maybe after the second take, he started crying and told us what he was channeling as we were playing. And he said, that's it. That's sorry. Big truck.
Yeah, that's the take.
Well, what's wonderful, Ruth, is that Nikki told us this same story, so we know that it tracks because you had the same exact memory. So,
and I'm
so
gonna go
it's
back
wonderful.
and listen to this after. And
Nikki already
listen
said
to
that.
No, but you said it differently. You said it. You added some. I didn't realize. I forgot that you'd started crying, and hopefully Colin isn't like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?"
I'm on that.
Well, we are going to dive into this next song, but because we have a lot of songs and we want to make sure we get to, especially because so many folks have said they want to hear what has been done. So we're going to try and push ahead to the next track, which is Swing Low, Sail High. And Nikki, this is one of yours, right? Do you want to just listen to it and then talk about it afterwards, or?
Sure. I will say though that it's I only found out I think somewhat recently, like last year before the pandemic, that Heather and I realized that we had both like collectively written 4 of the songs, like not together, but between the 2 of us, because she stayed in my parents' house when we were in Winnipeg doing pre-production, like working on the songs together. She had stayed at my parents' house, and when I was really pregnant, I'd also stayed at my parents' house, and we both wrote, I think, 2 songs from this album at my parents' house, which is really bizarre. So anyway, this is one of the ones I wrote when I was quite pregnant. And yeah,
all
you can
right,
play it.
let's give it a listen. This is the Wailin Jennys Swing Low, Sail High on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
And while Tony's hooking that up, we should just remind you that you're listening to Back Catalog Listening Party, and here it is. It looks like, yeah.
I have failed you, I have failed you. I have lost my way, lost my nerve Clouds make a hostage of my mind. Mind, bring on your trickery. Black dogs nip on at my heels till I look both in the eye. Swing low, sail high. Swing low, sail high. I have failed you. I have failed you. I've closed my heart. I have failed you. But I love you. How I love you. All my days were rearranged to say I love you. Oh, setting sun, don't weep for all the things you lose. Morning comes as sure as it must die. Dying is such mystery, yet I wonder will it be when I put the whole thing in the eye. Sail high, swing low, sail
All right, the Wailin Jennys here on the back catalog listening party with Swing Low, Sail High from their 2011 Red House release called Bright Morning Stars. A lot of folks loving that song. Sounds so good. And one of the things I love, we've been talking about the detail of the production, and one thing that I love especially in that song is when at the end of one of those big choruses where the guitar comes in and kind of takes off from where your voices leave off. I just love that. It's so great.
That is, they're just in listening to music over time and coming to love a certain song, and there are little things that happen in the production that if they weren't there, that song just would not be what it is, and there's I find that again, that's the kind of stuff that David does, like puts these little things in there, little sounds that you just love. Like I am so happy with how that song turned out. I mean, it's not always the same for songs. Like you'll be really happy with certain things, but you might have done something differently. That song, I love everything about how it was recorded, how it turned out. I mean, Ruth and Heather's vocals are their harmonies are just pure brilliance. Like I love what they did on that song. I just love it. And Christian's drumming, and and then when I asked Kevin is like one of the best guitar players on the planet. And he wanted to know what I wanted him to do with it. I'm like, well, maybe like you could do it with this sort of approach, but sort of African. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like I was giving him all these influences I wanted. None of them made sense with each other, but he still knew exactly what to do. But the thing that I remember most of all about this song is that, like I mentioned, I wrote it when I was pregnant. And actually, if you have that picture of us, do you have the picture of us doing pre-production at my house?
Let's see here. I think I do. Let me 1 second.
So I wrote it when I was pregnant. This is a song that we didn't get to road test. It's always nice to be able to play a song through. Oh, no, there we go. So I was very, very, very pregnant at that point. And so I didn't do a lot of practicing because I couldn't. And then when it came time, like I had the boys, and then we were doing this 4 months after I had them. So I remember doing like 20-minute practice sessions and feeling like I wasn't ready for this. And so when we went to record the guitar part, I was really nervous about it and thankfully pulled it off. But then when it came to doing the vocals, I think I had like a nervous breakdown doing the vocals because I wasn't really sleeping because I had 2 4-month-old babies that I was trying to take care of at night after we left the studio all day, and so I was just like, you just get so tired, and the thing that fatigue does is it kills your voice. So that is a hard vocal. It's a really hard vocal. So I remember just like he would set up, he'd be at his board, Mark, I'm talking about Mark, and you'd be behind him singing with like a 58 mic. And I was just like having a hell of a time. And Mark has this thing that I didn't realize he did until after the fact. He puts a camera on his board that's facing and recording you as you sing. So here he's got this video of me like losing my mind trying to get this part. It's so awful. It was just like traumatic, but thankfully it came together.
It turned out
Where are
wonderful.
those videos? Where are those
I don't
videos?
know. I don't know.
If you have those videos, please comment right here on YouTube.
Right. I'm
Please
sure
burn
they'll pay
them.
a small
Yeah.
ransom.
Exactly. Well, there's a lot of great comments coming in, and one person actually had a question about how it was your experience. You've toured all over the world, but obviously you spent a lot of time in North America because this is your homeland. And someone was asking about the difference between touring between the U.S. and Canada, and we probably don't have time to go into all the differences, but yeah, maybe if there's any sort of one takeaway that you could give.
Guys?
I noticed one thing in the merchandise signing line is that in Canada, people are very polite and they wait their turn and they're very quiet until they reach the table. And then you do your signatures and then they say thank you and then they leave. In the States, it's like mayhem. Everyone's like, ah! That's one thing that I've noticed.
We've always talked about how in Britain, everybody's like very quiet, like, and you think that they just are hating everything you're doing. And then at the end of it, they just erupt and they're like, more.
And it sounds like a Minnesota crowd, actually.
Yeah.
The Midwest.
Very Scandinavian, you know.
Mm-hmm. Canada's kind of halfway, and then the States are like,
That's funny. And let's see if Ruth is fully connected. Our next song we're going to talk about is one of hers that she wrote, Storm Comin. Ruth, is there anything you want to say about this?
I think she's muted herself here.
Okay, let's.
You're muted, Ruthie. Nope.
Unfortunately,
I'm
we
still-
can't.
sorry.
Oh, there.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
sorry, I tried to unmute. I think Canada and US are similar. The audiences are similar. I mean, even in the US, is that what we're talking about still? Sorry.
Yes, but you can also.
Horrible. Okay. Yeah. I mean, definitely very reserved audiences in the UK. I think. But even across the US, I can't tell if you're laughing at me or what.
we're laughing near you.
There's a whole
laughing at
range.
you.
The audiences in the Midwest are very reserved too, and then of course they're really gregarious on the West Coast. Heather's losing it. I mean, I can't tell how this is coming across. Can you hear me?
I love it. Well, this is the way our world is right now. I love it.
If I'm just here for moral support, I'll just mute myself.
Well, I was going to say
Thank you,
eventually when Ruth does hear us play this song and hear us say this, that after the song, maybe Ruth, you can be prepared to talk a little bit about this song that you wrote, Storm Comin', because it's one of my favorites. So let's take a listen to it now in the back catalog listening party.
When the storm comes, don't run for cover. When the storm comes. Don't run for cover when that storm comes. Don't run for cover. Don't run from the coming storm. No, there ain't no use in running when that rain falls. Let it wash away when that rain falls. Let it wash away when that rain falls. Let it wash away. Let it wash away that falling rain, the tears and the trouble. When those lights flash, you hear that thunder roll. When those lights flash, you hear that thunder roll. When those lights flash, you hear that thunder roll. When you listen to that thunder roar, let your spirit soar. When that love calls, open up the door. When that love calls, open up the door. When that love calls, open up the door. You gotta stand on up and let it in. You gotta let love through your door. Storm comes. Don't run for cover when that storm comes. Don't run for cover when that storm comes. Don't run for cover. Don't run from the coming storm, 'cause you can't keep a storm from coming. Storm comes. Don't run for cover when that storm comes. Don't run for cover when that storm comes. Don't run for cover. No, don't run from the coming storm, 'cause you can't keep a storm from coming. No, you can't keep a storm from coming. 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 You can't keep a storm from coming.
The Wailin Jennys here on the Back Catalog Listening Party with Storm Comin from their 2011 album Bright Morning Stars, which we are revisiting today on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And Heather says, I'm so used to hearing the live version, I forget about the studio touches. And yeah, and it feels like every track, we want to wait till that last moment, the last breath, you know? I hate to talk over it, you know?
There was another 15 seconds after you started talking, actually. That was a really healthy fade out. I love it.
Awesome. That's what I love about this song too, is that it was really given the space to to grow and do its thing in a nice, like, leisurely way. It doesn't feel rushed at all.
And, you know, and that kind of gets to one of the things that stands out to me is like percussion in a band like this, like it just needs a ton of space, and like what it creates is these rhythms, and it creates this feeling, but it doesn't, it doesn't stand out. It just kind of sits underneath that. And I'm just curious about, you mentioned it was kind of a band that was brought in, but do you like, because rhythm is such a big thing, especially if you're not normally, writing with a drummer in mind. How did the rhythm and the percussion parts kind of come about? Was it just the individual player, or was there more direction from you guys?
Ruth, did you hear that? Ruth?
She's muted, I think.
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't hear. Yeah, my mic is unmuted now. Sorry, I didn't hear that question. I heard something about rhythm, but but I'll try and guess. I'll just make my own question and answer it. We do a live version of this with sort of body percussion, and so we knew that we wanted to record it differently for fun, and I guess we were sitting just singing, and we had Christian playing, and the band just got it right away and came up with this really cool vibe. And then later we added, the organ and things later when we were working with David. But yeah, I think we knew we wanted it to feel kind of gospel-y, and we knew that the live version would be the live version, but that we could really make something cool and different in the studio. We wanted to take advantage of that. I don't know if that answers your question at all.
Yeah,
but
yes, yeah.
Something someone might be able to answer for me that heard the question properly.
that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah. And I also love that you're talking about sort of the gospel elements, and a few people commented on that. In fact, Joe said, this is right up here with Sweet Honey in the Rock. So that's a pretty high compliment. So beautiful, beautiful song. And right now we're going to push ahead. We're going to get to these next two songs. We might go a little past 5 if that's okay with folks. But our next song we have is Cherry Blossom Love. And Heather, I believe that's one of yours.
Yeah, that's one of mine. That's one that I wrote at Nikki's parents' house, actually. And it was one of those songs that just all came out.
What is with this house? I think we all need to go to this house to write songs.
A retreat or something.
A lot of vibes there. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, some serious vibes. Yeah, that and Birdsong I wrote at Nikki's house. But yeah, I thought, I come from more of a jazz background, and I thought it would be kind of fun to write something in that style for the ladies. And this one just kind of came out all at once, and I was glad. And then our live version of this is pretty different also than the studio recording. That I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I feel like it was a little bit tricky to get, but I think Mark wanted it to feel a little more almost like Tom Waitsy kind of vibes, with some cool kind of low. Am I right? I haven't listened to this song in so long. I'm not sure if I'm remembering right, but yeah, it was less kind of jazzy than sort of more vibey in the studio. I remember. If I remember.
Excellent.
So
well, let's take a listen to it together, and we can all be reminded what it sounds like. For those of you who maybe haven't heard this or haven't listened in a while, this is the studio version of Cherry Blossom Love, the Wailin Jennys here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
She waited under wildwood, under maple and pine, wondering when a cherry blossom love would arrive. He once was a young man in love with a girl like me. They'd sit alone together under the cherry blossom tree. sit under the peach tree where you told me you were mine. I'll wait for you through winter when all the leaves have died. I'll wait for you to come to me with no tears in my Well, all is gone from me today and until the end of time. Her hair grew gray, then blossoms laid her body like a vine. The blossoms planted seeds and cherries fell across her chest. They covered the ground around her, then muffled her quest. The cherry lady laden with the saddest fruit to bear, the sweetest juice left, bitter proof of love's uncertain care. 'Cause he was gone, he was gone. She searched for him, then sat beneath their tree and sang this song. I'll wait for your return, my love, under our cherry blossom tree. And if you cannot meet me there, I'll never, never be Cherry blossom tree.
All right, the Wailin Jennys here on the Back Catalog Listening Party with Cherry Blossom Love, and yeah, I can see what you were saying, Heather, about like when the
Really?
rhythm section comes in, it has like a kind of funkier kind of vibe, and also has those kind of like guitars come in. It has more of almost like a Texas country kind of vibe as
Yeah,
well. So there's a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
different elements at play. It's very cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was. I remember that. I mean, and just listening back to it, man, the sounds are so good. Like the guitar. I mean, the guitar playing on that was Colin, right, Heather?
I think so. Was that
the
a
big,
baritone guitar?
Yeah, it was like I don't even.
Something like that,
There's
yeah.
a name. There's a name for it. I can't think of what it is, but just it was such a great part for that song. Like that is such a vibey track, and the
Yeah.
drums are so great on it. And that song is like, that's a real favorite off that album, both off the album and live. So it's yeah, I think that turned out so well. And I remember recording the vocals for that one because it was I believe like it was in the evening. I think we tried to do a lot of our vocals in the evening just because you're warmed up and there's more atmosphere and ambiance and all that. And but I remember that being a lot of fun to record the vocals for that. Like it was that was fun.
That's great. Well, and a lot of folks have commented, and by the way, someone says this just makes me want to see you all again so much more. And I think a lot of folks have been saying that throughout the thing, of like, oh, I remember seeing you at this place or that place. And folks, of course, anxious to see you live, but for obvious reasons, that hasn't been possible. Are you making any plans for further down the road to tour? Or are you still just sort of waiting and seeing how it's going to all pan out?
Well, tours that had been booked that were canceled in 2020 were moved. They've all been moved to 2021, and then most of them were moved again to 2022. So we're just kind of like they're being just shifted as we find out more information. So there are tours that are booked for the fall of this year and we're just going to see how it goes with the vaccinations and stuff. And then if those need to get moved, they get moved. But we've got a bunch of tours in the new year as well. So it's, it's there once we can actually start traveling.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure I know Heather feels the same way, but I'm itching to get out there and tour and be on stage and yeah.
And also, I mean, and you haven't seen each other. In fact, when we all hopped on before we went live here on the show, all three of you were so excited to see each other, So when Ruth was trying to find her signal and popping in and out, and it's been such a pleasure to have you here talking about these songs. And but I do know that you've been keeping busy with other things. All three of you have kids, so you're busy with that stuff. And Heather, you just released a new record. Is it today? Is today release day?
It was sort of a slow. It's an EP of some cover songs that I did with a friend, and I think it was officially the 18th of February. But
okay, but hot off the presses. So, and can folks find it on your website, Heather Massey?
Shoot, you know what? I haven't even put it up there yet.
Well, we will put a link on our. We have a show notes page.
It's on Bandcamp. Yeah. Okay.
We'll
that would be great.
Yeah. We'll put it there for you.
I'll try to do that.
Great.
At some point in the next couple of days.
That's wonderful. Well, and we'll look forward to new news from the Jennys, whenever that happens. But we have one more song we're going to get to, right?
We're going for it?
Because folks.
All right.
If Nikki and Heather are willing to stick around a couple more minutes, because so many folks had wanted to hear this and it was on your list, and that way we get to 2 songs from each one of the band members. And so this last one we have is What Has Been Done. Should we just take a listen?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. What Has Been Done, the Wailin Jennys and the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Half-mile from the riverside, square wood building hard and wide. I'll take water or I'll take night. I will swim through snow and ice. Laid your story down on me, forced inside the good bit. Now I only dream my words fly away like blackened birds. Oh, I feel these lessons burn inside the person I've become. Edges curl and darken as I do what has been done. Chip on floorboard, hand in fire, little sister dressed in white. Last day she was seen alive, walking to the riverside. We will never get to hide from it, no matter how we run. All things come to find us, and we'll do what has been done.
Another one of those cool endings. That
Yeah.
is the Wailin Jennys
so
with
So good.
what has been done. And I'm so glad we got to that because you mentioned that this is not one that you play live, that you've never played live. And what's the reason for that? Is that just because you never worked up an arrangement with your like?
Yeah, we didn't work up an arrangement. I think at the time, like we had enough songs. Like it was just like, I mean, we sort of picked off that album what we thought would be, the sort of the clear choices, the obvious choices. And I think, like eventually, like I was saying before, we've thought like the songs that we have never worked up would be really cool to work up. But it was one that didn't make the cut for the stage. And also it's a darker, you can only really have so many kind of heavy songs in a show, and that one's pretty heavy because that I wrote that. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada started in 2008, and I think I wrote that in 2009. And so that was a commission that was looking into the history of the residential school system in Canada, and sort of listening to a lot of the stories of residential school survivors. And I've always been very interested and had a concern and a sort of a feeling of a duty to learn as much as I could about what's happened to our Indigenous community in Canada. And so that's what this song is about kids torn from their homes and sent to these horrible places where they were seriously abused, and just what the impact of that is. And so it was a really like just in listening to that, because again, I haven't listened to that in years, and just hearing what Ruth and Heather did at the end of that song with just kind of the vocalizations, and just I remember Heather doing something that almost sounded like a bird, which was really cool. And that song, I mean, that was really very unusual. The live off the floor aspect of this album was very unusual for us, but this one was extremely unusual because I think it was like the first take. We did it. We did the whole song start to finish, and I think we kept all the vocals. Like it was, I think we might have overdubbed the guitars maybe. Because I think I was playing guitar at the same time I was singing, if I remember correctly. But yeah, like that. So if you sort of imagine the dark living room with the candles and everything, and you imagine this song like came out of that full grown, like full birth of that song right there.
Well, that explains why the whole album has such a vibey quality to it. Again, recording these songs at night, I feel like you can really hear that in the record. And if folks out there, again, I know everyone's been enjoying the show, revisiting these songs. For some people, it's new to them, so especially this song because you haven't played it live. If you're interested in buying it, it is available. Again, you can get to it from their website, thewailinjennys.com. We've also posted the URL in the comments. And of course, you can also throw a donation to the National Alliance on mental illness. That's what the Jennys are requesting you throw. What would be tips to them to that wonderful cause. So I want to thank you for joining us today, and thanks to Ruth. We know that she was Herculean effort to tune in and find Wi-Fi.
She provided quite a moment for the show, though. That was awesome.
It was wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining us. Those of you who tuned into the show, if this is your first time listening to the Back Catalog Listening Party, we do it every Friday at 4 p.m. Central. We invite different guest artists to talk about old records and listen to them. That's all we do.
We got some really great folks coming up.
I
know there's a lot of parents out there, so I just have to give a shout out to my friends, the Okie Dokie Brothers. They're some of the best kids music out there, and we have them coming up in a couple weeks. So it's going to be like a special kids listening party. I know you're going to love it.
Fun.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And if you want to know all about it, you can just subscribe to this YouTube channel, and or you can become a patron of the show. And we want to thank our Patreon patrons keeping the show running for almost a year now. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Scott, and Sarah, our newest patron, who just came in this week. So big thanks to them. And if you are interested in supporting the show, then you can do that at that website. Otherwise, just tune in. And if you like what you heard, give the show a thumbs up so that more people will hear the Wailin Jennys.
Yeah.
And you can share it with your friends. It will be available to watch on repeat if you just want to watch us laughing on repeat throughout the week.
I love hearing some of these stories after the song because because I listen to it with fresh ears, then I hear the story, and now I just want to go back and listen again and see, and kind of process the things that you're talking about.
You can make a whole weekend of just listening to this on repeat. Anyway, well, thank you all so much for joining us. Nikki, Heather, so great to see your faces. It's been too
Great.
long.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And thanks to everybody who was writing. We saw all your comments.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, well, have a wonderful weekend, folks. And those of you in Minnesota, enjoy this warm weather because it's awesome.
It really is. All right, folks. We'll see you next week on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Cheers.
Thanks, Ellen. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, you
Thanks.
guys.